when you first got into MMA, right? You made the transition from traditional martial arts, you were over in MMA, you got your pro debut back in like 2003. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about that is there is not a lot of women competing in MMA back then. It is like, it's not, MMA wasn't even really huge back then, period. Like, I remember the UFC back in like 92, 93 with Hoist Gracie in the tape, and then it kind of falls off and goes by the wayside until, we end up having this new iteration with, the UFC after the Fertitta brothers bought it and stuff. But it was like, that was rough even for the men's side of it. And the men's side of it always had a deeper pool than women. So how was it being a woman? I'll say this. Was it hard to stay motivated?
I didn't really have a motivation, so to speak. I just really wanted to train and fight. So there was no like having to pump myself up or anything. I just trained as hard as I could, and I just it was really hard to find fights. So it was frustrating in that I'm like, hey, I'm ready to fight. Somebody offered me a fight. And it was really hard because you always had to travel to fight because, as you said, there were so few women. No one really fought in their hometown. I think one girl did that. A couple people I know of. But, so we're always traveling. And then there's, the promotions are smaller and don't have a lot of money, so it's harder for them to pay for all of us, to fly in. Because if they wanted to have a woman on their card, they'd have to fly 2 women in and meet there,
Right.
And then I almost feel like for me it was beneficial, but then I had to deal with the frustration. For example, my striking sucked for a really long time, but I was still considered one of the top females in the sport because I was one of the only women in the sport. I'm trying not to knock myself.
I was going to say, it's like that doesn't sound like a compliment that you're giving yourself.
No, I was beating people though.
No,
I could use
sure.
my jiu-jitsu. That was the thing. It was, I could use my superior jiu-jitsu skills and beat people. So then I had more opportunities because I was a woman, and if they wanted like a high level woman, they'd be like, oh, well, there's Roxanne over in, Massachusetts or wherever, she can fly and do it. As opposed to me having to compete against like hundreds of other women for the spot, right?
That's true.
But on the other hand, it was hard to bring us in. And then when I moved to Japan, it was even harder because then the plane ticket was $1,000, and then the hotel, they couldn't pay for my gas money. They'd have to pay for my, hotel for all those days, and then often they couldn't afford to bring in my cornerman from Japan. So I asked Kirik Janes, who's my college gym teacher, to fly in from Massachusetts, So we did that a lot. Like when I fought in California, they flew him in like the weigh-in day and stuff.